So I don't know. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram last night, but I was able to practice with MC Yogi, and he is the teacher who got me so much into. Oh my God, Zubair's joining too. So I meant to message him because he loves these type of classes. Okay, so it was MC Yogi. He released an album back in 2010 called Elephant Power, and he told through song and lyrics like a lot of the stories of Hindu mythology. And it's those stories that like actually started to like really inspire like a different way for me to teach, to try to like incorporate these stories into our flow, into our sequence, with this idea that the stories of Hindu mythology were really there because they're probably made up, but they're there to really try to help us and inspire the qualities of the characters that we find in all of these different little tales. Okay, so when we hear stories about bravery, maybe we're going to feel more brave. Okay, and today's story, the story of Ganesh, okay, is a story of transformation. So I like to do this at the beginning of the year, right? Because there may be this feeling to be like inspired to transform and to come into something new in your life. Okay. So as you settle in here, go ahead and close your eyes. And you can almost picture yourself sitting here like Ganesh. And you guys have all seen him. He's that elephant headed god with like the big belly and a little smile on his face. Right? And in India, often in people's homes, Ganesh is facing the door because Ganesh symbolizes like welcome, bringing something new into your life. Like you pray to Ganesh, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, at the start of any venture, any journey. And so if you start to breathe in deeply here, start to welcome in whatever sounds, whatever sensations, whatever feelings or thoughts are arising in you. And just try to welcome that into the moment. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And then see if you can transport yourself to an ancient village in India, into the home of Poverty and Lord Shiva. And they're married, and it's kind of wonderful wedded bliss, except for that Lord Shiva often goes out into the forest for like weeks and months alone practicing meditation. And it leaves Poverty kind of home alone and kind of feeling a little bit sad. And so, in one of these periods of time when she is home alone, maybe spending too much time with her thoughts, she recognizes that she isn't really happy. She's not fully content in her life. And it's time to make a shift, and it's time to make a change. Place your left hand on your heart, hold your right hand over it, and start to breathe in fully here to your heart center. Connecting with maybe when you have been in that time of your life where you know it's time for a shift, a time for a change, and you have a want, you have a desire. Now, Poverty wanted a child, but what do you want as you embark on this new year? What would be your goal or your ambition? And see if you can really connect with that and feel it in your heart center. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Keep that intention as you open your eyes. Roll over your shins. Hips back to heels. Knees together, feet together. And now please get into the smallest, most little compact package of a child pose at the back of your mat. And let that child pose be the planting of the seed deep in the earth of your desire. Right? We need our desire to be stable and rooted. It can't constantly be shifting, or we'll never reach our goal. And so she, with devotion, with prayer, day after day after day, she waters this intention. And so I want you to start to breathe in deeply into the seed, just like a plant seed, right? It needs light, it needs water, it needs time, it needs attention to start to grow. Take one more breath here. Inhale. Exhale, sweep the arms forward. Downward facing dog. Okay. So as you lift from the ground, blossoming open into this downward facing dog, instead of just feeling it as two separate physical poses, child pose and down dog, take your knees to the mat, point your toes, press your hips all the way back towards your heels, and see if within the seed, within child pose, if you can feel the potential of the down dog as you lift up, unfold, and grow into your downward facing dog here. Now, I'm going to let you do this about 2 more times on your own. Shifting the hips back, coming into your child pose. And just like within the seed is the magnificent, the potential of a full, like, oak tree. You move at your own pace with your own breath, and you expand and you grow into your body. And so it's little baby steps, right? Like a seed grows at its own pace, its own time, not forcing, and definitely not comparing as you take your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So on this path of like growth or transformation, right? Like a seed never looks over at another seed and says like, oh, I wish I was that type of seed. It's okay being exactly what it is as you spread through your fingers and spread through your toes and try to find the full growth of your downward facing dog. Take your feet as wide as you can at the back of your mat. And then begin to walk your hands back towards your feet. Drop your hips, sit low, come down into a malasana squat. Bringing your elbows against your inner knees and sitting low. Okay, so I chose this pose. Ganesha symbolizes your root chakra. Okay, so that connection to the earth, the groundedness, your bones, feeling the heels dig into the mat. But then also malasana is like this pose of giving birth. So as we stay here for a few more breaths from your pelvis, your creative center. So you don't have to give birth to a child. You can give birth to a new job, a new relationship, a new habit, a new way of being. What do you want to give birth to? And then like imagine like it coming to life, like it's springing forward. Walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. And so that is exactly what happens. Poverty gives birth to this beautiful little baby boy. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Good. And he starts to kind of strengthen and grow as you stretch your heart forward. Press your hip up and back. Right? As a baby, as a toddler, he's really curious. He really explores. Inhale forward into plank. Right? He kind of starts to walk. He learns. Find your hands, find your legs, find your feet. Press your hips up and back, down dog. And then from here, lift your right leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. And so what I mean here, you guys, is you can just think of this as a 3-legged down dog, and it feels good, and it's going to stretch your hamstrings. But I think that's for another class. I think today you want to think of yourself as like growing, lifting up and out, getting curious, expanding through that top hip and top leg. Step your right foot forward all the way up in between your hands. Lunge. And as you drop your back knee and you hook your thumbs and we come up into Anjaneyasana, right? Can you kind of feel like you're building this pose from the ground up? And right, Ganesh is always going off on his own, having little adventures, exploring how your body feels as you grow and explore breath by breath. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift that forward into plank, start to trust to your body, into your strength, into your knowing. Bend elbows, lower slow. Point toes, inhale, open. And exhale, send hips up and back, downward facing dog. Left leg lift, three-legged down dog. Okay, and so hopefully our childhood and Ganesha's childhood, it was playful, it was fun, right? Really enjoying moment by moment. Step left foot forward up in between your hands, lunge, drop the back knee, hook thumb, bend elbows, and then not taking the pose like quite so seriously. Maybe wiggle a little bit in here, let the heart open, kind of bright through the eyes, right? Your body is your bliss. Try to enjoy it as you settle in. And then take your hands to the mat and press back, downward facing dog. Remember the potential in the down dog as you reach up and out. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, lower slow through chaturanga to the belly. Inhale, start to open, grow. Press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Step your feet forward, top of your mat. Expand arms out nice and wide, spread through fingertips. All right, so little smile through the eyes, little smile through the lips, open-hearted here. And then exhale, fold in, stretching through the backs of your legs. Feeling the earth underneath you. One more time, just kind of remember that intention as you put your hands to your hips and you lift all the way to stand. Good. Hands fold in front of your heart as you close your eyes. We're going to do sun salutations, you guys. And sun salutations are rhythmic, they're routine. And I think of that a lot personally, like my childhood. It was like, get up, eat, go to school, ride the bus, come home. Same. But in India, at the beginning of each day, they pause and they use their body as a mechanism for this prayer, to be thankful to have the opportunity to go through that routine again. Release your hands. Inhale, full stretch, arms up. Exhale, bow forward, down and in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen half, flat back. Exhale, step back, and if you feel ready for it now, chaturanga. Inhale, pull it forward, float the heart up. Exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So, poverty and Ganesh, they get into a real like rhythm of life. Like days go by like nicely. They're really enjoying it. Inhale, exhale for those times in your life when you've been kind of in rhythm, in flow. Step forward. Inhale, open arms out wide. Exhale, fold in. Hi, Maria, Uttanasana. Hands to hips, elbows up, flat back, and press to rise. Release your hands down towards your hips. Inhale, full stretch, arms up. But every day is just slightly different. Every sun, Surya Namaskar A is slightly different. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. Exhale, step back and lower slow. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Press it back, Adho Mukha. Okay, so personally for me, I am really comforted by like ritual, by doing the same thing, by having repetition in my life, right? And so you can kind of think of the things that you do on a daily basis that really nurture you, that help you kind of stay focused and concentrated in alignment with what you really want. Look forward, step forward, top of your mat. Let your arms float open wide. Inhale to open. Exhale, drop head, fold down and in. Hands to hips, elbows up, half flat back, and then press all the way to stand, palms turned open. Okay, but then also sometimes within like consistency can become boredom. There can be boredom. So as we kind of work towards our heart desire, our intention, you're gonna face some repetition, you're gonna face some boredom. And how do you handle that? Inhale, arms up. You look for what's different, for the growth, what's going right. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen half flat back. Exhale, step that back, take your time, maybe focus more on the legs or on the shoulders, right? Make each one something bright, something new. Don't get stuck in the past, and then press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And so that's sometimes what happens to me, you guys. Like, I'll have a goal and then I'll really be working towards it, but then I get a little bit bored. I'm like, oh, that would be more exciting. So I jump to the next thing. See if you can really embody, right? Like Ganesha and like the grounded earthiness, the ability to like stay with what you want. Step forward, top of your mat. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Okay, now bend knees, drop hips, sit low, chair pose. Okay, as you hold chair, one day Poverty decides that she wants to take a bath. And she instructs Ganesh to like block the path. Okay, and he has a little bit of like imposter system. He's like, I'm a little boy. What am I doing like guarding this great beautiful goddess, right? But he feels the support of his mother, like Mother Earth from back behind him, and he realizes that he's doing this as an act of service. So instead of holding the next few breaths thinking about my legs, my shoulders, my burning, right? Could you do this as an act of service? Right? Protect the path. Inhale. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. Your choice. Hop, step, float through Chaturanga. Inhale. Exhale, hips lift, up and back. Down dog as you exhale. Right foot steps forward, back left heel grounds to flat, lift to rise, warrior one. Interlace your fingers, leave your index finger free, Kali Nidra. Okay, so you can imagine yourself here as Ganesh on the path, and you have to be looking in all directions to protect your mom, right? So you look above you, nothing's gonna come down from the sky. Split your arms, open wide, open up into warrior two. Nothing's gonna come northeast, southwest. You're taking up as much space as you can, becoming this like big, huge obstacle. Inhale. Exhale, release the back hand down, back behind you, reverse your warrior. And in your physical body, you might come across some tension, some constriction, something that's blocking you from breathing deeply. And you breathe into that area. Meet me top of your push-up, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Continue with your breath. And you guys, I want you to keep finding your fullest potential within the practice, okay? Flowing on your own there, good. And then step, left foot forward, ground the back heel down, lift to rise, warrior one. And so the thing is, right, about like change, improvement, we have to be constantly diligent, right? We take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So don't forget, really look up, explore what happens there, and then heel open, protecting against the past, guarding against the future, being really centered here in the moment. Back hand down the back side, you might feel it in the hip, you might feel it in the side rib. So we can have physical limitations, mental obstacles. How do you move through there as you reach? Hands to the mat, top of your push-up. You flow with focused control through your vinyasa, meeting me back, downward facing dog. So we forget, we remember, we come back to our full potential here, knowing that we are going to face obstacles. Things are going to get in front of our path, but we do have like the support of whatever you think, like divinity, God, however, Mother Earth, divine nature behind us. Look forward, hop, step, float, top of your sticky mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Now bend knees, drop hips, sit low again, Utkatasana. Can you embody guarding that path? And now, how many times on your little journeys towards your goals, your ambitions, are you actually the person that gets in your own way, your own fears, your own doubts? See if you could like sit in this pose, like knowing that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. This is your dharma. Inhale, exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen half flat back. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. Right foot steps forward, back heel grounds to flat as you lift all the way up to rise. Warrior one, inhale. Open up, warrior two, exhale. So we have to stay present. Things are going to be constantly shifting and changing. You have to stay open, guarding in all directions. Last time, right side, back hand down the back thigh. Press deeper into that front right knee. Sink more into it. Climb the obstacle and let it, instead of letting it turn you away, hand to the mat. Flow. Okay. And so as we do this second side, as you come across kind of like a mental or a physical barrier or like a little hiccup or snag, right? How do you react to it? Left foot steps forward, back heel grounds, inhale up, warrior one. Right? Do you sit with it? Do you hold steady? Open up here, warrior two. And the last time, take up the full expanse of the path of your mat. Back hand on your back thigh, reach. And then instead of avoiding it, use that obstacle in the hips and the side body as a place to grow. Hands to the mat, step back. Vinyasa. Inhale, connect toes to nose, open up. Exhale, hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. So you just kind of review, like what's going to get in on your way to your heart's desire, what's going to get in your way, and how are you going to choose to handle it? You're going to back away from it, turn around, or maybe climb over it, using your obstacle as a chance to grow. Look forward, hop, step, float, top of your sticky mat. Inhale, open. Exhale, fold in, Uttanasana. Bend knees, drop hips, sit low. Chair pose, not just a chair, how you normally think of it in alignment, but active service, active sticking with challenging things as you press to rise. Good job, you guys. Okay, so everybody take a nice wide step out. It might be a different leg, okay, depending on how you're oriented. So I'm gonna try to not say the leg. I'm just either gonna say like front or back, okay? Now, heels in, toes out. Bend knees, drop hips, sit low, goddess squat. So it's on this particular day that Ganesh is protecting the path that Shiva decides to come home. And as he comes home and he sees this guy, this boy that he doesn't know, he demands, right, that he gets out of the way. But Ganesh refuses. He will not be moved, right? He knows that this is what he's supposed to do, even though sometimes he has doubt, like you might be doubting right now. If you can hold this space, see if you can embody that feeling of Ganesh, right? Knowing that he's going to have to face and do battle with this like great, terrible God, but he starts to trust himself, trust the power of your legs, trust the support of your breath. Now, your back leg, you guys, whichever leg it is, I don't know, open up. Warrior two out over your front leg. Just pick a leg. Good. So, Shiva is consciousness in bliss, but he is also can get very angry. Okay, so you don't want to get him pissed. And so what ensues is just this epic battle between Shiva and Ganesh as he guards the path. And so in Warrior 2, you might feel this little mental battle, this mental struggle. Lift your back heel, pivot, turn over your front leg, high lunge. Again, take Kali Mudra. Now, Shiva, as like the Lord of all things, right? He expects to be obeyed. And when he won't be obeyed, when what he wants is not listened to or obeyed, right? He lunges forward, come into Warrior 3, and he chops the boy's head off. So imagine in your own reactive, angry, frustrated state, when you do something, right, like very reactive, explosive, not mindful, not in line with your intention, chopping that boy's head off, fingertips to the mat, step the back leg all the way back into your lunge, and then return to face me. Yep, grab your ankles, fold in here. So I don't think I'm the only one who's been reactive, stubborn, forceful, acting out of ignorance. And when I do that, I feel a little bit of shame, right? That idea that we kind of want to bow our heads in shame. So let the head go here. Sometimes we feel remorse for our actions. Okay, so maybe think of a time, right? When you're kind of like explosive, anger got the best of you. Shake your head. Imagine letting kind of like that tumble out here, not letting it get stuck. Hands to hips, elbows up, flat back, lift to rise. Heels in, toes out. Bend knees, drop hips, sit low, goddess squat. Now, Poverty is in her bath and she hears like this huge struggle, all of this noise, and she comes running outside and finds that the boy has died. And she's just screaming, like, Shiva, what have you done? Okay. And like right now, my legs are kind of screaming at me. And I want to like be reactive. I just want to get out. I want to push. I want to shove. I want to resist. I want to constrict. But instead, Poverty decides, take a Warrior 2 on the opposite leg. Make sure you change legs. Poverty decides to be that spiritual warrior. She knows that it's not going to help unless she's calm, thoughtful, peaceful as she finds a solution to the problem. So maybe you need a little more back foot or a little more front foot or a little more breath or a little more opening. Lift your back heel, turn towards your front leg, Warrior 1. And now take Kali Mudra. And so from this thoughtful, reflective, mindful place, Poverty decides to call out to all the other gods and ask for help. Shift forward, Warrior 3, not doing it the way Shiva would do it, gripping, but instead, like you're reaching forward, you're asking for help. Maybe you use other muscles here, right? Maybe you feel the earth helping to press you up, but do it with that calm quality that even though Poverty is broken-hearted, she's going to stay calm and centered. Fingertips to the mat as your back leg steps back, low lunge. Pivot, turn back, facing forward towards me. Now, plant your hands shoulder width distance apart. Inhale, open. And then exhale, fold in here, bringing the top of your head down towards the mat. If any of you have a tripod headstand practice, I want you to try to explore that here. And so what Poverty represents is like a balance, an equanimity, right? We can be scared and afraid and brokenhearted and disappointed, but we have to keep like a mental clarity, right? So that we can find solutions. And that's what I had to do when I was learning headstand. I had to find a way to connect to the ground, to the head, to invert, to go upside down. Now, if you're up, please come down Pivot turn, top of your mat, low lunge, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, pull that forward into plank pose. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, up dog. Hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. So for just a moment, kind of pause and reflect. Has any part of this kind of story like resonated with you? Are you the reactive person, a calm person? Knees to the mat, point toes, press all the way back, coming back into child's pose. And so I don't know if any of you guys have found this in your own lives. Like, sometimes I have to start all over again. I've got to take stock. I've got to recalibrate, reevaluate. And so as you check back in with your heart desire, your intention, Shiva and poverty are beside themselves, and they call out to all the other gods. And the other gods come to their help and rescue. And Lord Brahma, just fold into it, just take a child's pose, just relax. Yep, just relax, child's pose. And Lord Brahma, he comes up with a plan, and he says, we're going to go send a search party out into the jungle, and we're going to find another head for this boy. Okay, so this part of the story, right, you guys, it represents like plan B. Plan A doesn't always work out. Hands to the mat, press back, downward facing dog. Okay, step your right foot forward, up in between your hands, lunge. Ground your back left heel to flat, prepare, lift up, warrior one. Okay, so the search party goes out. Right, they're looking through the forest, through the jungle, kind of the same way, like you would kind of like search for space, for opening. Here in the body, interlace the hands behind your hips. Roll your shoulders back down and together, and then fold on the inside edge of that front right leg, humble warrior. Now, as they go through the jungle, they come across a wise old elephant, right? And he understands the situation, and he knows that he served his purpose in life, and he's willing to make like this personal self-sacrifice. He is willing to surrender his ego, his sense of self for the greater good. So for just one or two more breaths, could you imagine, right? This idea of just full surrendering, like your I-ness. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Pick up the foot, step back. Vinyasa. Okay, so the story of Ganesh, the elephant head, understanding. The elephant knows what has to happen. Step your left foot forward, up in between your hands, lunge. Ground your back heel to flat, lift to rise, warrior one. Okay, and so then the gods grab this elephant head and they rush back to the little boy. Interlace your hands behind your hips, open your heart. Bow in, humble warrior. And so this also is a story of acceptance. The little boy accepts the elephant head, knowing that he will always look a little bit different. He will always stand out. He'll always be a little bit strange, but he knows that this is what we must do. So the story of Ganesh is surrender to things as they are, right? And open up kind of with full acceptance wherever you're landing in this moment. Can you be all right with it? Letting your ego go. Doesn't matter what the pose looks like. Plant the hands, top of your push-up, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. So as I mentioned at the beginning of class, the story of Ganesh is the story of transcending ego. Not always about like me. But on another note, right, the story has a happy ending. The boy is brought back to life. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back, three-legged down dog, bend right knee, roll right hip open. Pivot turn to the pinky edge side of that left foot, and then flip your dog. So you guys, back bends make me happy, right? And as we come to the end of that part of the story, right, there's kind of like this rejoicing throughout the village. The boy has returned. Open the heart, inhale. Exhale, flip that back around and bring right knee on the floor behind your right wrist. Move that left leg far back. And then please fold in here. Okay. Bowing down and in. So looking at the different symbolism, the elephant offering his head symbolizes like adaptability, right? They found a solution as he lay there dead. And there's like a certain gentleness. There's a certain grace with which the elephant offers his head. So here within the pose, maybe even stretching the arms forward, turning the palms up, really prostrating yourself. Sometimes at that point you say like, I don't know, but I'm willing to try. How could you be in this pose with that elephant sense of grace, humility, like a real discriminating intellect? Inhale, exhale, walk up onto your hand, press back, downward facing dog. And now as we go through this next vinyasa, imagine an elephant walking through the jungle, right? It walks slowly, kind of lumbering, not in a hurry, not rushing. Try to symbolize this vinyasa moving slowly, kind of feel a heaviness, a groundedness, but really kind of like big and whole and complete and connected as you press back. Downward facing dog. Lift your left leg, three-legged down dog, bend left knee, roll left hip open. Yep, exactly, Julie. Then roll to the pinky edge side of that right foot. Drop the back foot, cup the back of your head. Open-hearted here, right? So when we want to shut down, to close off, can we stay open as that left hand flips back up and around? Left knee on the floor behind your left wrist. Walk that right leg back as you fold in here. Pigeon pose. Right? And so the story involves transformation from a little boy and this elephant, and it's kind of like merging together. And so another thing that it's saying, it's like whether you're an animal, whether you're a human, whether you're a plant, whether you're an insect, right? All things come from the same source. This story is a story about like unity within diversity. That as much as we can all feel different and think that we're having our own trials and tribulations, we also are very, very much the same. And it kind of encompasses this whole belief that like spirit, divinity kind of runs through all of us. Take a few more breaths. Maybe remembering your divine nature. Okay. And so even when he lay there dying, it seemed like an impossible, irreversible situation. Sometimes these things, you guys, that we think we can never solve or overcome are actually opportunities for growth, for renewal, and to become something bigger and better than he ever imagined. Walk your hands underneath your shoulders, press back, downward facing dog. One more time with that like slow lumbering pace of an elephant moving through the forest. Move through your body. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Right? How has the practice changed, transformed the feeling in your body? And then hip up and back, downward facing dog. Okay, knees to the mat. Turn to face me. Fold your left leg in. And then cradle your right leg. So we hold it. You guys know sometimes I talk about like a forklift, right? There's really kind of like no right or no wrong. As you sit tall here, okay, so hopefully you guys are kind of like enjoying this story a little bit as you move through your body. Okay, but then also there's different poses that are dedicated to Ganesh. Okay, we're gonna move through a couple of those. So it's Eka Dandasana, and it means one tuck pose. Bring your right knee as high as you can up onto your right shoulder and plant that right hand down. So my left hand is holding my right foot, so like my knee doesn't slip, my elbow is bent. I'm squeezing the knee in against the shoulder. And now extend that left leg forward. So that's your unbroken tuck, and your right leg is your broken tuck. Okay, now how did this tuck get broken? Still squeezing in, planting the hands, finding earth. They went to go write the Bhagavad Gita, and they realized that they didn't have a pen. And so again, Ganesh, as an act of service, the elephant, he breaks off his tusk and he uses that. And it's from his sense of like discriminating intellect and knowledge and wisdom that these ancient philosophical texts were written. Okay, so plant your hands, one tusked pose. Squeeze in, pull your hips up and back. Use the power of the earth to try to lift up here. And can you have a little fun with it, you guys? Like imagining that front leg is your tusk. This other one is your broken tusk. Lifting up here for 3. For 2, use the earth energy to press it away. And release. Right knee, good job everyone. Right knee folds in. And pick up that left leg. So again, second side, Eka Dandasana. But let's choose a little bit different of a meaning on this side. You're gonna bring that left knee high up on your left shoulder. I really try to tuck in. Notice you guys like help yourself, right? Like it might not land there where you want it to the first time. You might have to keep kind of tucking in, bending the arm at the elbow, planting the palm. Use your core, use the strength of your inner leg to squeeze it up there. Now, extend your right leg forward. And so for this last one, you guys, what does it represent? Ganesh is not perfect. He has a broken tusk, right? But through these imperfections, he doesn't let them that stop him, and he still continues to try. Push the hands down, lift up. So, like on our path, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to wait until everything's right. You kind of try to embody and embrace your imperfections here. Inhale and exhale, release. Good. Roll forward, plant hand. Downward facing dog. So I know one of my obstacles sometimes before starting something is I expect that I'm supposed to be good at it before I start it. I had my first paddle lesson this weekend, and I was actually nervous to go because I'm like, I'm going to be the worst one on the court. Right? And that's what Ganesh is talking about. Like, you don't have to be perfect. You just kind of have to show up and try. Last one. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, chaturanga. Inhale, pull forward, up dog. Hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Interlace the hands behind your hips. Take your arms up and over. Be a little playful, be a little silly. Imagine that like your elephant or trunk kind of trumpeting, swinging back and forth, releasing the burdens, the tensions on our shoulders. Release, bend knees, drop hips, sit low, and then come to lie all the way down onto your back. Place the hands on your heart center. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Circling all the way back to the beginning of our story. It's okay when we feel this ease in our lives, not fully content. Maybe identifying with this kind of eternal struggle for everyone. As you lift your hips up, interlace your hands now behind your hips, tuck your shoulders under, come into bridge pose. And could you let bridge pose be this representation of who you were in the past to what you're becoming, that bridge between your old self and your new self? How would you want to approach it? Open-hearted, open-minded, calm, steady, that discriminating intelligence, as maybe you feel some space, you rock the shoulders under more, explore again that full potential latent inside of you. Release your hand, lower slow. Palms turn open, eyes closed. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Now, with your big elephant head, you have big ears. And those big ears mean that you listen. Right? You listen to your body and what it needs. Do you need another bridge pose? Or would your practice be better today for you in the moment if you plant your hands alongside your ears and you come up into a full wheel? So this is where you listen to what your body needs. You decide as you lift your hips, plant your palms, and stretch all the way up, either coming into bridge, full wheel. And so there's something about like making the right choice for you, knowing your purpose, your dharma, following all the way through. And then chin to chest as you release, lowering slow. Good. Draw your knees into your chest. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Drop both knees over to the right. Turn, twist, open as you look to the left. Okay. So remember when we were kids, when we used to like play with a frisbee? I want you to imagine that your diaphragm, the tendon, the muscle of breathing connected on the entire circumference of your bottom ribs, is like a frisbee. And imagine tossing that frisbee from the ribs to the shoulders to the fingers, tossing it to the left side of your room, really ringing out here. Step back to center, round the feet, neutralize through the spine. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Knees into the chest. Drop both knees all the way over to the left. Lengthen the spine. And then play, right? With that idea of the frisbee, tossing it. Like I even kind of like represent it with my hand where you'd grab the edge and you'd like fling it. Kind of see how far you can go into the pose. And whether you want to take it like spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, it's like this ringing out. Squeeze the spine. Let go. And then come back to center as you step your feet into the mat. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Last pose. Okay, happy baby pose, you guys. Grab the pinky edge sides of your feet. So all the other deities, you guys, they ride around on like magnificent beasts like peacocks and lions and tigers, right? But Ganesh, he rides around on a little rat. because he doesn't care about his vehicle. He's not attached to it. And so just for your last couple breaths, the last couple moments of class, you guys just kind of enjoy your body as a vehicle, right? You could rock from side to side. You could straighten one leg. You could straighten the other leg, right? Don't take the pose. Don't take the practice. Don't take it too seriously, right? We're not attached to it. And as you come back to center, try to remember to enjoy this vehicle, this body, this only one that you get on your path to transformation. Release the feet, open the arms, open the legs. As you take rest in Shavasana. Okay. The story starts out, Parvati is sad and alone. Through devotion, prayer, clarity of intention, she gives birth to her heart's desire. She enjoys it, she nurtures it. Taken away from her in anger and frustration. She leans on support, asks for help, regroups, plan B. And through this process, learns to surrender, be humble, invite more and more acceptance of the way things are in our lives. And then remember nothing, no character in this story is perfect. To embody our perfections and not let that get in our own way as you take rest. Inhale, exhale. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Stretch your arms up and over as you bend your knees, rolling to the right. And press your way back up to lying seated. So you fold your hand in front of your heart center. You just kind of check in. Did that practice feel any different, like a different relationship to a warrior two or a goddess pose, right? When you're trying to imagine those qualities in your own body. Then also remembering to kind of like welcome in the obstacles because they are the things that lead to transcending your ego in transformation. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Taking your thumbs to your third eye, bow forward to seal your practice. Try Siddhatma. Thanks, guys.